Hello my friends and welcome. My name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. We have some of the changes on the front lines. They are minor changes, but we also have some of the breaking news. I'm gonna point your attention on that a little bit later. Now let's go to the eastern part of Ukraine, to Lugansk area, where Russia put their attack once again. So it was yesterday, and today they moved to Chervona Dubrova, which is kind of small village, but anyways, they are confirmed that they are controlling this some sort of the village. There is just one single road from Kremina to Zarichne, and I just hope that it was the clarification of the front lines, that it was not a massive Russian attack. They still tried to attack recently from Svatove to this direction. They tried to attack and they lost around 500 mobilized soldiers. So how those Russian attacks usually happen? Ukrainian army was able to put defense line, and we put our artillery systems there as well, and Russia usually tries to attack just straight to that defense lines. But they also have their defense, and they have several lines of it. So first, second, and the third one. The third one usually is where artillery is located, and also there are some supplies, food, and other ammunition stuff. Second defense line is the reserve for the first one, and just to make sure that Ukrainian army would not go for the counterattack. Actually, the same stuff happening on Ukrainian side as well. For the second line, Russia put usually Wagner soldiers or their own experienced soldiers from the contract army. Here on the first one, they put new mobilized Russian soldiers, and they throw them as meat. There is so much of them, and they go on massive attacks straight to Ukrainian forces. I know it because I got the conversation today with one of the soldiers who is near to the Bakhmut, and he told me that the strategy of Russia is to throw the mobilized soldiers straight to their positions, and he was at the zero line. He said zero, it means just on the front lines, and there were so many of the Russian soldiers that it was really scary. Still, they have some superiority in artillery on some places of the front lines, and nowadays they have superiority in the live force. Yes, those mobilized soldiers are in lack of ammunitions and modern weaponry, but still there are so many of them that it's hard, very hard for our guys to defend our territory. And basically those mobilized soldiers have no way to go, because just recently there was the case near to Svatove and near to Vuhledar. Then those soldiers were running to our positions and they met significant resistance and turned back to their positions. But the soldiers from the second defense line, Russian soldiers, understood that Ukrainian army is heading towards them. And what they've done, they opened friendly fire. They killed the guys from the third line to launch artillery shells on those guys. So basically, Ukrainian army devastated Russian soldiers, mobilized Russian soldiers, and they have the friendly fire. Then they try to return to their own positions. So for example, if we go to Pavlovka near to Vuhledar, it's on the south part of Donetsk region. If we go to the timeline, on the 1st of November, you see Russia tried to get Pavlovka under control and also Vuhledar. So it was like that, but the next day they retreated. And nowadays we have the information that Russia lost around 300 soldiers. Most of them are elite marine forces. So for example, here we have article in Reuters: Russia issues rare denial of pointless losses by Marines in Ukraine. So they had 155th Marine Brigade of Russian Pacific Fleet, and that brigade lost more than 50% of their life force. We know that information by those guys themselves. They filmed some sort of the videos, and also there was the military Russian correspondent of their media, and he definitely stated that they had lots of the losses near to Vuhledar. Then they tried to get Pavlovka under their control, and they also had the friendly fire from the Russian side. This event went viral in Russian social media. That is why Kremlin says, oh no, it wasn't like that. We lost around 1% of our group of 155th Brigade there, and Ukraine lost 9 times more. But according to any kind of war law, you usually lose 3 times more than when you are on attack rather than in defense. And now in Russia, some of the mothers, wives, daughters and sisters of those soldiers who lost their lives, they're saying that it is true they were killed by Ukrainian forces and friendly fire because of that useless operation. And many of the war videos start to appear on the Telegram channel. I posted it on my Telegram channel as well. By the way, my friends, don't forget to subscribe for my Telegram channel, because there I post the military images that I cannot post on YouTube. So the link is in the video description. Thank you. So judging on the first reaction, those videos, Ukrainian command official information, Russian denial, and information from the civilians on Russian side, from mothers of those soldiers, we can state that that information was correct. We don't know whether the number was correct, 300 or maybe 297, but more or less we may state that Russia lost quite a lot of forces over there. And I want to share the breaking news with you, my friends. Snegurivka, which is the main hub for supplies, which is the hotspot for the Russian army, it's been attacked today, just 1 hour ago, by Ukrainian forces. So far, we don't know whether it's massive Ukrainian counterattack or just some local fight. So I'm gonna keep you in touch. This is very important because it's on the other part of the Ingulets River, and there is the main road that leads to Kherson itself before Ukrainian forces attack from this direction. But now, if Snegurivka, it's very interesting. And we already talked about the possible trap that Russia put in Kherson. So they announced that they removing most of the facilities and some of the infrastructural stuff, but actually they put more reinforcements to Kherson city and to that region. Their aim is to cause Ukrainian army severe losses. They will still retreat. Nothing else may happen in that region. So during the winter time, obviously, because of the severe cold, with no winter clothes, without any kind of heating equipment for their soldiers, my friends, there are no any chances for Russia to keep Kherson. That's why they're preparing the media for their own people, for Russians, that they have to make the hard decisions for their region. And also they put more soldiers to cause Ukrainian army severe losses. Then they're gonna go on our counterattack. So they will waste lots of their soldiers, but they want Ukrainian army also to have losses. That is why, speaking about this region, it's better for Ukrainian army not to rush and take it little by little. And now let's go to the latest news and events. And it's the Congress voting day for United States of America. I have the most views from United States according to YouTube statistics. So thank you, my friends, for supporting this channel. And no matter who wins these elections, United States will obviously support Ukraine. It's in a democracy interest, the world interest, to support Ukraine nowadays. And yes, I want to stay aside from United States politics. For many of the people, it became some sort of the religion. If you support one party, your opponents would just hate you. So I don't want to be that guy, and I wish you to love your opponents. Because what concerns me the most when I look at your country from a side, I can judge that obviously your society, the American society, is divided compared to what it was around 10 years ago. It's not good, but anyways, I hope you can handle that and keep going, my friends. You are awesome. And thank you again for your support. Our defense minister trolled Russia today. He announced the mobilization of 300,000 mosquitoes. It is the adherence to the Russian speech in United Nations that they say that Ukraine used the special mosquitoes to bite Russian soldiers and Russian citizens and spread some sort of the disease. It's just funny. So we have these memes. Soon there's going to be G20 summit in Bali, Indonesia. Fantastic place. I was there many times, my friends. I highly recommend you, if you have the opportunity, to visit Bali, especially if you like surfing. Well, G20 meeting is going to be there, and Zelensky also going to participate in the meeting. At the same time, President Zelensky said before that if President Putin participates that meeting, he will not take part in it. And Russian media say that Vladimir Putin will not probably go to that summit. I think what might have happened if Putin would go there together with Zelensky, and they would meet in the same room, in the same place. I think President Zelensky highly likely would just hit punch Putin in the face. And I think President Zelensky would get away with it. Everyone would understand his feelings, and it would be a very big humiliation for Vladimir Putin. And yes, it's 1 in a million scenario, but yeah, I would like to see it. And more about United States, President Trump announced that on 15th of November he will have some important address, and probably he will put his candidate as the possible one for the future 2024 presidential elections in the United States. So probably we're gonna see one more battle between President Biden and President Trump. I say President Trump not because he's the current president, no, he's not. But if he was a president or someone was a president, he carries that title throughout his or her life. So President Obama, President Bush, and President Trump, President Biden, for the rest of their life. All right, probably Antonov Design Bureau watched my yesterday's video where I say that it's useless waste of money to build Antonov 225 at this current state that we are in a war. So they released a new statement saying that they are not wasting funds right now. They are thinking how to build the airplane. So they're drawing everything, calculating how it should be. And yes, probably in future we'll have this airplane flying again. It's going to be a real morale boost, but only after the war is over, my friends. Anyways, the airspace is closed in Ukraine. Yes, we have still some of the airplanes from Antonov flying, delivering goods from United States to Poland and other stuff. But those goods finally appear in Ukraine with the help of the lorries or trains. And Mriya is not that efficient or effective compared to Ruslan Antonov 124, which is the bestseller. We had some news today that Iran is going to execute 14,000 people that they imprisoned during the riots in Iran, and some of the MPs voted for that, so 227 from 290 MPs. But I still think that article wasn't translated correctly. For example, here in the CNN article, lawmakers call for protesters to be taught a good lesson. Good lesson doesn't necessarily mean execution. Obviously, Iran do have that penalty, and before they used it quite a lot of times. Many of the countries and international organizations called Iran to get away from that kind of penalty, but still they continue to use it. Yes, it's the big threat for those people who were imprisoned during the protests. Obviously, not 14,000, not all of them are protesters themselves, and we should have the reaction from the world on that stuff if the information about the possible death penalty would be confirmed. Some of the war rhetorics from China again. China's army must be ready for military action, said the leader of China, Xi Jinping. At the same time, Taiwanese president said that the invasion is real and this could happen to us in the near future. It's the real threat, not a rumor. So you see the tensions are increasing, intensifying in that region. It could be the beginning of the World War III, hot stage of it. And probably Russia may unite with China, with Iran and North Korea, creating this kind of huge bloc of the countries. On the other hand, there are lots of their allies on the counterpart, United States, Taiwan, European Union, Japan, that may possess also huge defense for Taiwan. Can we end up with the worst case scenario? Obviously, my friends, we can. You see, no one thought that Russia would dare to attack Ukraine, and they are here. But I'm 99% sure that the outcome for China would be the same as for Russia in Ukraine. I bet that Chinese army would be just devastated in Taiwan by allied forces because they don't have resources for the largest possible military operation in a human history. Ukrainian army also uses the small vehicles. They put the improvised rocket artillery systems on that. And before I thought that it's some sort of the DIY vehicle because it's very unusual, but in a comment section under one of my previous videos, you told me that it's some sort of the Mercedes German-made vehicle, which is very reliable. Ex-NATO Commander General in Europe Ben Hodges continued to be positive, and he said that the fighting for Kherson will continue for a few weeks. After that, Ukraine will take that city, and he also said that Ukraine will gain back all of the occupied territories next year. Very optimistic forecast from the ex-NATO general. And Russian Foreign Ministry begs for negotiations with Ukraine. They just want to secure the territories that they took. And before they say no talks with Ukraine until demilitarization, denazification and everything. And now they propose just talks with no any kind of other concerns. Guys, they're asking for talks because they are losing and nothing they can do with it. Kind of interesting article from Welt. I didn't think about it, but it can bring some light on why some of the European countries doesn't want Ukraine to join the European Union. Well, because of the Ukrainian populations will be number 5 in European Union and will have 9% of all voting in the European Union. And that would move the vector towards the Eastern Europe. Interesting. So big politician game is out there as well. Right, I'm continuing to monitoring news coming from Snegurivka town, and it seems like Ukrainian forces were able to get the northern part of that small town. It's been reported by the Russian media and Russian officials in the region. I hope that is the good news for us, and the main thing is not to lose a lot of our forces during that counterattack, because Russia put more reinforcements to that area, and there are around 30,000 Russian soldiers on the north part of the Kherson region. Russia is trying to repair the Kerch Bridge, and now they are delivering this section of the road that was damaged and devastated, and it will take them a lot of time to repair the railroad. Now they have the single railway line, and then they will repair the road. They can send some of the lorries across that bridge. That also takes time. What do you think? Is it going to be one more boom in that area? Could be interesting. My friends, I'm going to keep you updated on situation here in Ukraine. Please support this channel by pressing the like. And also, if you want to support me financially, there are some of the links in the video description below. You may support me on Patreon, PayPal, or Donatella, whichever is more convenient for you. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.